Okay, cool. Hey, folks. We are now streaming. My name is. Ooh, actually, back up. Okay, hey folks, good to see y'all. My name is Aaron. I am a data scientist who is kind of looking for a new job, but also like practicing a bunch of skills right now. So tonight, I've got this cool thing. I kind of bought all these materials before and just kept putting off like building this thing. But I have micro SD cards, two Raspberry Pi Power over Ethernet add-ons, and two Raspberry Pi 4s. Let me see. So I'm really excited because what I'd wanted to do was actually build my own Spark cluster because like I didn't know what to do with Spark. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to try to teach myself new skills and really just use this thing. I'm like really um, so basically, a little bit of background on me. I went to the Flatiron School Data Science Bootcamp, and while we were there, we were actually exposed to Spark already. But to be honest, on the lecture days where we were taught it, I couldn't get it working. So I was like, all right, well, watching along with the people who did get theirs to work, I was kind of like, what is the point? Because it just takes more resources and it's a little bit harder for us to use. Um, Turns out when you're using like larger data sets and stuff, like things that, Spark is actually really good at, it is good to have it there, right? Hold on, let me change the chat box size. Um, so, interesting. How can I change that size of the window? So there we go. That's a little bit better, but I think that actually doesn't need to be there. There we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, and now that I've got some projects and I've been working on some stuff on my own, I'm realizing that like, oh yeah, like this is actually kind of good to have. And looking at all these job postings that ask for Spark now, it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is definitely a good skill to have. So part of the reason why you might want to use Spark is because if you've got like a lot of data, this is definitely a thing you want to consider because it's hard to put just massive amounts of data on one computer, right? So in our case, my projects have been pretty small, but I started looking at data sets where I was more interested in kind of adding everything onto one unit and then kind of remoting into it. Or basically, I just can't put stuff on my laptop anymore. So I wanted to experiment building this little cluster and kind of pretending as if I was actually like doing some sort of like real data engineering project. So I'm pretty excited. Let me tell you what we've got here. I just did a quick breakdown of what we've got, but might be helpful to explain why we're making some of these choices. So we're going to start with, let's see if I can make this camera bigger for you. Yeah, sorry, the sun is like setting and it's just right behind, so it's going to be pretty bright. But like I mentioned before, so we've got two of these. I'm going to bring this closer. Helpful to explain why we're making some of these choices. So we're going to start with this. I've got two Raspberry Pi 4, 4 gig of RAM computers. And I have got the storage to actually put all the stuff on. And it's these 128 gig cards. You'll notice that like the micro SD card slot is not in the little sleeve where it's supposed to be, and I did do it, and that the wrapper is open, right? I did do a little prep work in that I actually put the Raspberry Pi operating system on here already because I didn't want to take the time for like downloading it, transferring it to a card. I was like, that's gonna be like even more boring kind of a stream. So we got one card for each computer because we need that. I've got this thing, this TP-Link 5-port gigabit switch. Most importantly, it's got the power over Ethernet. And the reason why I'm doing this is because Raspberry Pis are great. They can be powered over USB-C. and that's really handy, except when you've got a bunch of them kind of networked together, that's a lot of cables because you've got the Ethernet cable, power cable, and you have to wire all of it together. And I've seen some people like they put 8 in one cluster, and if you have 8 Raspberry Pis, that means you actually have 16 cables just all around. So I decided to get this Power over Ethernet thing because the Raspberry Pi will actually support it if you get things like this. This is this is a Raspberry Pi 4 Power over Ethernet add-on or a hat, hardware attached on top. So I got this because I wanted to kind of simplify the setup in terms of cabling. Basically, once I attach this thing onto the Raspberry Pi, I can plug in an Ethernet cable and it will power the whole unit, and I don't have to have a separate power cable. So I thought that was going to be easier, and I was kind of inspired by that by a blog post, which I will share in the comments, and I'll show also on the stream. And then in this relatively plain box, there you go, plain box. I have actually got. I thought that was going to be easier. So I'm actually also excited because most of the stuff has been sitting just in my room, and I keep pushing off like building it, and now I actually am forcing myself to build it. This is a chassis to hold all the Raspberry Pis together. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. In terms of like what it looks like in the box, this is when I find out whether I find out it's a dud or not. Wow, it's actually kind of cool. So there's all this. There's even I'm kind of surprised there's a little toolkit, but it definitely makes things a lot easier. So we got this fan to keep everything cool. We've got the acrylic that's all cut out. Man, these unboxing videos are hard. I don't know how people do them. So the little toolkit with all the screws, acrylic pieces that will actually mount everything. And then somewhere in there is wow, there's actually tools. Wow, this is cool. Okay, so let's get started with what we need to actually run one Raspberry Pi, right? So let's shrink back down this webcam. And you'll have to pardon my definite quarantine haircut right now. It is quite long. Let's get started with what we need to actually run one Raspberry Pi. It's supposed to be. Shrink back down this webcam. And you'll have to pardon my definite quarantine haircut right now. All right. It is quite long. The things we need right now, if you want to do something like this yourself, you need to go to Raspberry Pi Foundation's website. Cool. All right. We're going to load that up here. The things we need right now, if you want to do something, you need to go like here, yourself, and you need to go ahead and get something up here in Downloads. You can go grab this, load that up here. And we have to go get the operating system. So in my case, I got Noobs, which stands for New Out-of-Box Software. I just thought it was easier to do this. It comes with like the installer and everything. Basically, you just load it on the cards, which I already have, and then you plug them into the Raspberry Pi, and then hook them up to power and then the monitor, and they should be good to go. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up everything now, and I've got this monitor here, which is kind of blocking the way a little bit. I'm going to plug into that and just make sure that they are working. Like if the cards don't work, this is kind of where I'm going to find out. But yeah, so now we've opened this up. Oh, yeah. So the other thing, if you want to do something like this yourself, how I was inspired to do this was actually from a dev.to blog. So now we've what was it? Spark. So the other thing, Raspberry. If you want to do something like this yourself, how I was inspired to do this. No, to forgive me. I usually use a different web browser when I'm like learning new things and all that kind of stuff. But the reason why I'm using Brave for these streams is the other browser I use is 100 tabs, and I just cannot open that. It will crash in the stream. So this, I believe, is the site and the tutorial that gave me the instructions and the inspiration to actually do these things. So I guess like, yeah, it'll explain what Apache Spark is, but really it's really good if you're trying to do large-scale data projects. This is actually not a thing, but this is good to see. So what I'm going to do, I will put these in the chat so that anyone can check these out later. So you have to download this operating system. But this is good to see. So what I'm going to do is I'll put these in the chat so that if anyone can check these out later. Pi operating system. Things you'll need for your Raspberry. Checking how I spell. For your Pi R. Keyboard, mouse, Pi computer, micro SD card, monitor, and power cable. Cool. So we've got that, and then we have also this, which I'm going to say is like a brief breakdown as to why you would want Spark or why you want to do this. This, which I'm going to say is like a brief breakdown as to why you would want Spark or why you would want to do this. And you know what? This might actually be, if I keep scrolling down. So the ones I picked. You know what? This might actually this is actually exactly it because the authors from Ireland. Yeah. So cool. This is the site. This site also has the instructions to set up a multi-node Pi Spark cluster with Raspberry Pis. So check it out. And this is what I'll be using today for the build. One complication. I completely forgot about these things. I actually was thinking like these streams would be really cool if you could set them up kind of like cooking shows where everything was just prepared right away. But this might be a little bit tricky because I have to actually go through the installation on each Raspberry Pi and make sure that they're working separately. So if the stream goes a little bit long, maybe we'll just cut to like next time we'll just show like why or show it running, and then later on we'll just show projects running. So yeah, anyway, I'm still pretty excited. What we have to do is we take this Pi out. Anyway, I'm still pretty excited. And you can actually see. What we have to do is we take this Pi out. Let's see if I can. And I guess I can also just make this bigger again. Let me see if I can. Hold on. I guess I can also just make this bigger again. Hold on. Now that the sun is coming in, it's actually kind of toasty in this room. Got the fan on already, but it's still a little bit warm. So Raspberry Pi also comes with these like helpful things that you should know. Also build instructions. But what we're going to do is we are going to take one of these cards, and we are going to take out the micro SD card and plug the thing in. There we go, right here. There we go, right here. Okay, that's it. And I need a well, I actually need a USB keyboard and USB mouse. Well, I actually need a USB keyboard and USB mouse. Let me see. Where can I grab one of those? I have one hooked up to my. I actually have an older Raspberry Pi, Raspberry Pi 2. So I'm actually going to go run into the room and cannibalize the keyboard and mouse. I will be right back. And yeah. Okay, back. We're going to take this main keyboard, put it off to the side, and this laptop keyboard we're going to leave, whoops, down here, and and move this stuff over a little bit. Try to clear up some space. And we'll just have this plugged in. You might notice I am wearing some headphones. I'm actually listening to, I believe it's Software Engineering Daily. Yes, Software Engineering Daily. I recently started listening to Software Engineering Daily and its sub podcast, I guess, machine learning. So I am pretty excited on learning all this stuff. It seems really cool, like really cool technical interviews on like how a bunch of these things work for data science, machine learning, software engineering, et cetera, et cetera. Wow, this USB 3 port is really tight. To the point where I actually don't want to use that because I feel very uncomfortable. So I'm going to plug into the USB 2 port for the mouse. And really careful with these things. Make sure that this micro SD card is actually fully seated in there. Wow, didn't expect it to stick out that much, but it kind of makes sense. You're thinking about a user possibly taking the card out later for upgrades and updates, that kind of stuff. Or if the card goes bad. I mean, they're micro SD cards. They don't last that long, unfortunately. So the other thing we need is we need a micro USB. Micro HDMI cable. And in our case, we've actually got two things. We've got the micro HDMI cable straight away, and the other thing we've got is an adapter. And today I'm actually going to use the adapter because this monitor has already got an HDMI cable plugged in, actually a DVI to HDMI. It's a little bit too old to have a straight HDMI cable, so we're just going to use an adapter, and that way I don't have to keep trying to find cables everywhere. So out of the box, and we are going to remove the dust covers and the bags. Try to keep everything nice and tidy. This here. Cool. So on this thing we've got two HDMI outs, two mini micro HDMI outs. So we've plugged into one, and then we need the HDMI cable, which is right here, and we're going to pull like a Doc Brown move. 1.21 gigawatts. Cool. Okay. So we need to figure out the power, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug my phone from this charger, and I'm going to plug it into here. And really hope this doesn't fry the thing, but I guess there's only one way to find out. Should turn on. Entering power save mode. That's not great. Oh no. Okay, let's see. Why isn't this working? Maybe there's not enough power going to this Raspberry Pi. Yeah, these were the things that I kind of realized, like, you know what? I didn't actually test to see if that's a single unit is working just by itself. So the stream might go short because I don't think it's all that fun to do a bunch of troubleshooting or reading, in this case, actual physical documentation, right? What do we need to power this thing? I know it's USB-C. Trying to figure out the actual wattage. No, this is just a bunch of regulatory stuff. Cool. And then this is safe ways of handling this thing. Cool. I don't think there's a power switch on my Raspberry Pi. At least there never was one on my Pi 2. do feel a little bit nervous because I'm moving it while the thing is on. Okay. I have got another charger actually, so let's unplug this thing. And it's a real charger, not like the cell phone charger.
Have heard
I have heard people successfully using cell phone chargers to power their Raspberry, but maybe this one doesn't work that way. Okay, let's see. And in the meantime, let's actually look at what it says on the Raspberry Pi website. So this is the Pi 4 Model B, and they just introduced a new camera. Is this monitor on? So we are going to do some pretty basic how to set up your Raspberry Pi for the first time. Okay. So we get the introduction. What is the Raspberry Pi? Okay, we need at least 3 amps for the Raspberry Pi 4, and that should be fine because I've now hooked it up to my Dell XPS charger, which does like 45 watts. Let's see. So you need the micro SD card, got it. And you need the USB keyboard and mouse and a TV or computer screen. Cool. So we've got all this stuff hooked up. Set up the SD card. We've already done this, but this is still good to see if you've never done this before. So yeah, you want to go ahead and download your operating system, use the imager. Connect your Pi. Insert the SD card with Raspbian. Did that. Connect the mouse to USB port and then the keyboard. Got it. Then turned on the monitor, of course. Should be on, although it keeps going into power save mode. Connect your screen to the first of the Raspberry Pi ports, which is HDMI 0. Yep, did that too. And as soon as you connect it to a power outlet, it will turn on. Uh-oh. So it is on, but I'm not sure why it's not booting up. So the red light is on. And we should see raspberries in the top left corner of the screen. Well, that's weird. Okay, let's unplug the power again. Okay, so we're gonna do this just like they said, right? We took the micro SD card. We've fully seated it in there. We are hooking up the keyboard and mouse, just like they said. Keyboard, mouse. So that's all ready. See if you can see. Sorry about that. All right, so we should hook up the monitor next. And the monitor was working when it was hooked up to my laptop. So I shouldn't have any issues with that. So we have HDMI 0. this in here. Okay, so the only concern seems to be the power. And I do have a Dell XPS power adapter, and that says it should do 3 amps. So, I should just be able to just plug this in. The red light's on. Well, the thing is still on power save. I might have to do the stream later because I don't know what is going on with this thing. So it's possible that I need to actually, let's see, set up your SD card. Maybe I did not do that correctly. So I did format the micro SD card and then I copied over the image. It's not what I wanted. Let's go to downloads. And this is where it was before. So what I used was news. So this is the thing I downloaded. And if we follow the noob's guide, drag and drop, drag all the files in the extracted folder and drop them onto the SD card. So I did do that. Plug in the keyboard, mouse, and monitor cables, plug the power cable into the Pi. Okay. Let's try, I do wonder if maybe when I extracted the folder, I do wonder if maybe I was supposed to keep the original folder because that is not clear. Drag all the files and drop them. No, I don't think you keep the original folder based off of that language, right? So, why isn't this working? Well, let's try to hook it up to a separate monitor. Basically, whoop, I'm gonna try to move all this stuff around. Okay, cool. So now I've got this other monitor hooked up. And that should have an HDMI cable, which it does. It is right here. So let's unplug this power again. And unplug this adapter. And maybe we can have this back in here. And see if the monitor is actually... And it is. So let's plug this adapter into here. And then plug this power thing into here. Okay, that should be working. No signal on the other input. Okay, what did I do wrong? Let's see. I wonder if I have a dead adapter, which would be not great. Cool. So there's a lot of things that I'm questioning now. And it's more just problem solving. So I could have, at this point, let me write this stuff down because it's a bunch of stuff for me to check. Where did I put the pen? Okay. So I have a non-working Raspberry Pi as of this second. So let's see. What are the things that could have gone wrong? We could have a bad adapter. Could have a bad card. Could have improper power. Or could have, well, we know it's not a bad cable anymore because like this monitor is now working, and then this monitor, which is a different cable, is not displaying the signal. So it's unlikely, but it could be an improper cable. And it could just be a bad Pi, which would be unfortunate, right? So I have two. So I can try the other one. Yeah, let me go ahead and I will just try the other one. I'll swap out the card and unplug everything. So let's just unplug the power first. That turns it off. Unplug the monitor, mouse and keyboard, and then we're going to take this micro SD card out and put the Raspberry Pi back in the box it came from. Cool. And we're going to try this other one. Yeah, I don't know if any of y'all, if you have worked with a Raspberry Pi. Like I said, I have one, but I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this one, why it's not working. So, where did I just put the micro SD card? And I'm pretty sure that's the way to do it, the card in, because I don't think it'll fit the other way, and it doesn't. So that was also a thing to check in case I just messed up the orientation of the micro SD card. So we're going to plug in the mouse, plug in the keyboard, plug in the monitor into HDMI 1.0. Make sure everything's seated. And then we're going to plug in the power, and hopefully this works. Okay, we got the red light on again. Let's try to switch the inputs. Okay. Well, it's unlikely that we have two bad Pi cards, right? So at this point, it could be the power, which maybe the wattage is too high for this thing. Because the XPS charger is designed to give 45 watt. The Pi is asking for 3 amp, but I think it only needs 15 watt in. Let me see if this works again. And it could be the adapter because I have a micro HDMI to HDMI. That I can check by swapping out my webcam. So I could do that in a second. Yeah. And if it processes, if I swap out the camera that this cable is hooked up to, I should be able to tell whether or not this adapter has gone bad or was just bad. And it could also be the SD card has not had the files installed on it correctly. So ironically, the easiest thing may actually be to try out the camera first. So I'm going to actually unplug the power from the Raspberry Pi, unplug the monitor, and then move this adapter and see what I can do with this thing. Yeah. My apologies. I definitely thought this is gonna plug in and work correctly because it worked fine with my first Raspberry Pi. So this is all this shock to me. And of course, there's no battery left in this thing. Hmm. And I don't know if you can see what I can see. Okay. Let me, I am going to temporarily disable my stream from my laptop and then turn it back on and see if that fixes things. So I'm going to go to the technical issues and you'll hear from me soon. Okay, so a quick update on the micro HDMI adapter. So it does appear to be working. I grabbed a camera and plugged it into that thing, and it looks like it's fine. It was a little finicky. It didn't work with the first camera I grabbed. So right now I'm using essentially like I'm using a Sony RX0, which is like a fancy indestructible kind of cinema camera from Sony. It's kind of like a GoPro, to be honest with you, and you can tell like it is working, like it's outputting the signal. So I'm just not entirely sure what's going on with the other thing. I wonder if maybe it was trying to output a 4K signal, which this capture card can sort of handle, but not really. So we'll see. I'm gonna try to plug in some other stuff, and maybe I'm gonna have to end the stream a little bit early, actually quite a bit early, and then try to troubleshoot this thing. I was hoping to get it running by tonight. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me go back to the technical issues screen, and then we'll be back to where we were.
Can sort of handle, but not really.
Yeah, so you can see I kind of fixed it. I was on a setting that this thing wasn't supporting before. So now that I changed the settings, you can actually see that it is working with the other camera. Dang. Okay, well, back to the drawing board, I guess. Okay, that's better, right? We are back. So I think what I'm going to do is, since this micro HDMI adapter seems to be working, you can cross off that bug, right? Let's try to fix the card. I think that'll probably be the easiest thing. So what I'm going to do is let's bring Brave back. Oh, wow. Yeah, so that's what we want to see. I am going to move this into the screen. And we are going to hide we don't need to see me in all 4K goodness. Actually, I don't even think this is 4K. Shrink this down. Okay, so we're going to make this bigger. Hopefully that's actually legible. And zoom in a bit. Oops. Okay, so we're gonna do this like the easy way, and we are going to actually get the installer. Um, and then I am also gonna plug in this micro SD card into my computer. Oof. And see if I can just do everything right now. So we've got the Raspberry Pi imager for Windows. Imager. And well, the SD card just popped up, so I know it's working. But we are downloading the imager. And 19 megabytes. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm really sorry that I was really hoping to just kind of get this up and going and just experiment. I thought the fun things would be like tinkering around with the case. Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. We completely derailed the D&D game.
Okay.
Which is always a good thing. Like, Jen's plan was to.
I am streaming right now. No, you're welcome to talk to me. I'm just in case you're going to talk about sensitive information.
Oh, yeah. No. Jen's plan for the campaign was that we would. So we were doing like a Hot Springs episode. Because that's like what our group does.
Okay.
And like the idea was there's going to be a tournament the next day. So the night before, Jake's character pulls mine aside and it's like, hey, we should sneak around and just kill the other champion.
Okay.
So we waited until night and like had to sneak past all these guards. And then managed to break after like 20 sets of dice rolls or something. We break into the champion's room while he's asleep. Jake shoots him with a bunch of machines. He wakes up. I put him back to sleep. Jake shoots him again, and then he's extremely dead.
Okay.
We shove him and all the evidence into a bag of holding and sneak back out.
Okay.
Which that meant that instead of the tournament, the people who were organizing were like, well, what should we do? And the character that we had that was going to be in the tournament, who did not know that we just murdered the other person, was like, I invented this game, we could do that instead. And they're like, what is it? And it's because in a previous session, that character had invented beer pong. So we got everyone to play beer pong instead. And after we were done, Jen was like, so yeah, I didn't plan for that at all. And what was supposed to happen is actually you interact with the character that you killed, and instead that person leads you to the next thing you're supposed to do. Jen had to make up some other bullshit.
Nice.
Good campaign.
Nice.
What are you doing for your stream?
I was actually trying to build this Raspberry Pi cluster. So one thing I realized right before I streamed was I never tested individual units to see if they're working. Yeah, and I plugged everything in and turned it on by just plugging in the power, and blank screens everywhere. So right now I'm doing this like super fun troubleshooting stuff of, okay, what could have gone wrong? So you have good timing. I literally just said maybe it was this micro HDMI adapter that I hooked up to here because it has micro HDMI ports.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, maybe that thing's just not working, right? Is that it? Yeah. So what I ended up doing was I was like, hey, you know what? I have a lot of cameras. And one of the reasons why I bought this thing was in case I want to stream with a different camera. Turns out like the only ones I have that have the full HDMI port that are just amazing and super easy to work with are that one and the G9, which is in the other room. So I was like, okay, well, I can use this with other stuff like I put it in the other room already. the little Sony that I was thinking of using for food streams, the GX9, which is like the much smaller one, even my Canon one's like, they'll use this. So I was like, cool, let me take this and plug in the webcam, the cam link, and see if that's working. And it works fine. Yeah. So this isn't the thing, which is also like one of the things that was suspect because it's, you know, it's an Insignia adapter. Which I mean, their products are usually fine, but you never know, right? So now the things I'm checking off are maybe I loaded the operating system onto the card incorrectly. Which I kind of doubt because I've had a Raspberry Pi before, which is also in the other room, and I'm pretty sure it did exactly the same thing to load it onto this card. So I don't know what the problem is. You know what I should have checked is, can this actually handle 128 gig card? And it should, but sometimes they don't. I think like the trivia I've seen is like some of the DJI drones, if you put in a 128 gig card or higher, it won't record. And they said like it technically fits the standard where it should write to this card, but for some strange reason the cards just don't work. So like these people are like trying to, and I found out because there's a complaint in the forum where it's like, I just bought this like $1,800 drone, and my first flight I sent it out, saw stuff I wanted to record, and it just doesn't record. And like it's 4K, right? So like why wouldn't you get the biggest card you can? Because if you get like a 32 gig card and recording 4K, that's like one battery's worth of footage, right? So it's kind of annoying to like fly. Maybe you're not synced up with your battery life, and like your card runs out before the battery does, and you have to send it back, and it's just wasted the battery, right? So like, yeah. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and I downloaded the actual official imager. Before, what I did was you could torrent the operating system files as a zip file, and what I did before was I extracted the zip, just copied everything in the zip, and just moved it into the SD card. And I'm wondering if maybe this time that actually did work. So their actual imager, which I don't think that they used to have before, it says it should just install everything. So we're going to go ahead and I have to tilt the screen because if I turn it horizontal, it blocks the camera. So I have to look at the thing like this.
Do you want to, what if you lower it?
I can't. It needs a screw. Yeah, which I have. Like I have the tool to make the changes, but it's annoying. And the thing is like spring tension. So if you start loosening it, it like gets pretty wonky.
Oh, you normally have it vertical?
Either vertical or when it's totally horizontal, it's like where I like where I like the eyeball. But because the arm doesn't support like regular, I don't think it's a fluid thing. I think it's just spring tension because it's not fluid based. Like you can't just change the height willy nilly. So yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and install this imager. This turns out to be. I was apologizing. I was like, yeah, I wanted this to just kind of work, and I was kind of expecting it to work, and it turns out like maybe this is also data engineering. Like, hey, the thing didn't work. All right, let's go back and figure out what's wrong. Yeah.
Do you want to make any food?
What do you feel like having? And we still have the chicken tikka leftovers.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I could just do that.
Yeah.
That sounds tasty.
And for lunch, we should probably have sandwiches again tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to install. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna install Raspbian. Dude, this imager is actually kind of nice. You can choose like more straight away when you want to install this stuff. Or hey, actually, you know what? Why don't I just show this? Because this is kind of nice. Window capture. There we go. So this is the. Damn it. Or darn it. Crap. Can I swear on this thing? I think I have a teen stream, right?
What counts as teen?
Uh,
I feel like in PG-13 they say
Yeah, so we should be fine. Just no F-bombs. Or maybe I only get one F-bomb. Kind of like a PG-13? I think that's the rule.
Not do the things that we were doing when he made noodles.
Those are fine.
Okay.
Maybe. You know, I didn't really think about that. But yeah, so shrink this window so that it fits the thing. This is the installer, and it's kind of cool. You can actually choose which operating system you want. So typically, I use just Raspbian, but it gives you a bunch of options. So you can just install just plain Ubuntu. You can install Libre Elec, which I have no idea what that is. Have you heard of that?
No.
Huh. It says a Kodi Entertainment Center distribution. You can install other Raspbian-based images, but I actually am going to pick Raspbian, and the reason why is because they preload it with a bunch of like Python and data science-y stuff. Raspbian, I think, was designed to be the most plug-and-play operating system for this thing. So, like, people just wanting to get this thing and use it for fun stuff, like the kids and stuff. Like, I think that's the one that they recommend. So SD card. SDXC. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Yes, D drive. Yeah, because it's got a bunch of stuff on there already. So we're going to write to it, and let's see what happens. I guess in the meantime, I can also build this chassis. Dude, like this thing is, so I bought this, like, I'll unbox it for you. This will be some unbox therapy. Just imagine you with an ultra-wide lens, just going like this. I guess, wait, man, I'm not good at knowing where all the camera stuff is, especially when the view is small. So, it's a multi-chassis, right? It's called the Jetson Nano. It's supposed to hold up to 4 Raspberry Pis. And the things it comes with, there's active cooling, it's massive fan, which is good because the Raspberry Pi 4 has a little bit of repetition of heat. It comes with the acrylic pieces to mount everything. Like, yeah. And then I'll even show and stream. So everything is all wrapped up and tidy. But I think the most impressive thing is that it comes with, well, the plastic it came with didn't wrap everything very well. But it comes with, like these are the risers and stuff you need. It comes with a little screwdriver. Yeah, it comes with this. All the screws in a little toolbox. It's really good. Yeah. Why don't we just build this thing? So the package includes one set of acrylic case. There's a right baffle, a left baffle, 4 middle inner layers, 1 fan bracket, 1 acrylic cylinder for 125 millimeter, 4 male and female rivets of 130 millimeters, 2 M3 8x8 screws for the handle. There's a handle. 1 RGB LED fan. 4 M3x30 screws for the fan, 4 M3 nuts for the fan, 17 copper columns, 17 screws, 17 nuts, 16 wide head screws for hard disks. Oh, cool. You can mount hard drives on here too. Wow, this is like going to be an awesome little cluster. 1 long transparent screwdriver, and then the installation instructions, apparently. They even tell you that the installation instructions are in here. And this is really cool. They give you like suggested usages. So there are 2 popular solutions for this case. 1 Raspberry Pi Smart NAS cluster, 1 Jetson Nano AI deep learning machine learning cluster for storage. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. And actually, maybe it's a good time. I will actually post a link to the thing I bought because this chassis seems to be lit. Is that right? Amazon. Let's see. Oh, 52 Pi. Amazon.com. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Not books. I'm not sure why it brought me to books. Yeah, unfortunately, this is still writing everything, so. You know, Amazon, if I click a thing, that usually means I want you to select it, not ignore the thing I'm saying. ZP0088 rack. Pretty sure I found it with the Raspberry Pi cluster. Raspberry Pi chassis. Pi chassis. And this is made by, whoa. Wow. I searched Raspberry Pi chassis, and the things I got back are essentially all things to use them as RC cars. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but also like that means like their search algorithms like completely changed from when I bought this thing like a month ago.
What did you see a month ago?
It gave me just things like this. All right, well, let's go to their official website, www.52pi.com. Watch this site not work anymore. Holy crap, I wonder if they stopped selling this thing. Okay. Maybe if I search Raspberry Pi cluster. Here we go. So this is the case that I got for the Raspberry Pi, and the idea was to possibly use it. Right now I've only got 2 Pis that I want to put in this thing, and the idea was like maybe I could put like 4 or 3 in just a hard drive. And with the hard drive, that actually would be really nice because it would drastically increase the storage. That would make it really good for machine learning projects, I think, and big data. Yeah, because even with the micro SD cards, didn't buy the biggest ones. I got the 128s. Smaller than that, I think wouldn't have been that helpful, but bigger than that was prohibitively expensive. Yeah, so everything is still writing. So what if we just screw a bunch of stuff together? So I am going to move the Pis out of the way. This mouse and this stuff over here. Okay, cool. All right, so we want to fix the copper sticks to the acrylic layer after peeling off the protection film. So let's undo these things. Where is the edge of the saran wrap? Cool, 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 cool. And if you have ASMR stuff, I guess this unpeeling plastic wrap might set you off. I'm not really sure. I don't do ASMR. Is that good ASMR? What? Just want to be clear, it's Raspberry Pi, the computer, and not Raspberry Pi, the delicious dessert. How do I get this? Oh, you know what? I'm having memories of people complaining about this now. They're complaining that the acrylic layer is way too hard to peel off of this thing. Which I think is a whole lot of whining, because I just peeled it off. More ASMR. Ooh. Dude, this is what it looks like out of the box. And they say to peel off the protection filters, right? But this is what it looks like once you take off the film. Yeah. Does it look clean?
Is that because you were trying to use slime?
Yes, but also because it's actually clean, right? Yeah. All right, so we need some screws. Huh. I don't think these pie holes match up, which is gonna be a little bit of a problem. Okay, we've got Raspberry Pi in multiple orientations. Okay. A little worried there. Okay, I can either mount it that way, or I can mount it not that way. I can only mount it sideways. Yep, only sideways. Okay, cool. In which case, I guess I should mount it in the center, because why wouldn't you? Let's see, if I mount it to the side, is there space for something else? No, of course not. That seems like a loss. Maybe one thing I can do in the future is add a separate thing. Add another set of 4 screws so you can actually put an SSD right next to this thing. But we'll see. I think for now I'm just going to mount these in the center. And we need to fix the copper sticks to acrylic layer after peeling off I think that's these things. Yeah. Cool. And this is where the fun begins. I'm glad you guys were able to actually do your D&D today. It seems like you hadn't done it in a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's a pretty, I could get everyone, available at the same time.
Mm. And then Google just told me it's actually going to be warmer tomorrow. Oh. And we want to use the 2.5 nuts to fix the things on. You know, these little, all this hardware is like a good idea in theory. But I'm not sure how to screw on some of these things. Because I don't have a lot of room for my fingers. I feel like I'm going to lose some of these nuts before I actually seat the pies on. What time is it? Okay, well, this writing the data is taking a while, and it's definitely not that fun to watch. So I might end the stream and just work on this stuff separately. So this is where I'm at now, like building this thing. But this is also kind of tedious, and I'm sure it's like not that fun to watch. Finally got that nut on. And then especially kind of boring, I'm sure, is going to be me making the Ethernet cables for these things, because I do not have a bunch of Ethernet cables that are only like 6 inches long. And that's what I would prefer to have for this thing, to keep everything as tidy as possible. Okay, so we got one Raspberry Pi mounted. So fix the bracket holder to the fan with long steel screws and nuts. Please be aware of the direction of the acrylic holder. Where is the fan holder? So we'll put that over there. Fix the bracket holder to the fan. Guess this is the bracket holder. Left side and right side. My left or their left? No, but really. It's just as L and R. Well, the curved part should be where the fan face is out. Let's see. This looks like the fan blanket. Oh, wow. This is really tied up in there. Okay, cool. Making some progress. Okay. All right. You have to peel off all the acrylic. This is almost got it. No, there we go. Cool. Yeah. I would love to hear from people if they've built something like this by themselves. So if you have, feel free to message me. And I will follow up later because I am curious, like, what kind of projects did you make with your Spark cluster? What kind of things do you wish was different when you built it? How would you make it easier for other people to do it if they wanted to? That kind of stuff. Because as much as I wanted to build a Spark cluster, sometimes the hardest thing was actually to find reasons to justify doing it, right? Some of the huge data sets that would be fun to play with, I'm sure, are like petabytes, so way beyond the storage of a micro SD card. Some could even be, it's giga, peta, no, it's giga terabyte. Yeah, so some, like, some jobs I was looking at, they were like, yeah, do you have experience, like, working with petabytes of data? And we would ideally like someone with less than 5 years work experience. And I was like, huh, interesting. I think I've also seen like entry-level positions looking for people experienced working with classified health information. And I was like, I wasn't aware that there are a lot of companies trusting bachelor's graduates with tons and tons of health data from people that have also worked less than like 3 years.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a niche.
I guess when people work and like do like undergrad research and stuff, they have to do the like HIPAA compliance. Maybe they count that as good enough. No, I had to, and I feel like the data that I saw was like not particularly like identifying, but I know people show that like it's surprisingly easy to start identifying people. also a niche, right?
Let's see. Fix the. And I need the nuts for this thing. Which looks like those. Oh. All right. So we got one screw on. Lining up another. Putting that on. Cool. Cool. I haven't used that screwdriver yet. That might make things a little bit easier. Just gonna make these screws finger tight, I think. Oh. All right. Well, it happened. I lost one of the tiny nuts. Yep, found it. Cool. Right. So we got the fan. And we're gonna mount this thing. Cool. And then mount this thing. You know what? I think people were complaining about this plastic wrap. This is way harder to take off on the thin acrylic, thin film on the other acrylic pieces. And it has a tendency to tear. That's cool. But whatever. Just go a little bit gentler. Should be all okay. Cool. And you can mount this in here. I'm going to leave the outer protective wrap on for now, because I don't really need to take it off, I think. Cool. So we've mounted the fan. Please be aware of the direction of the acrylic holder. Fix other devices as mentioned before. For example, 4 pieces of Raspberry Pi or other combinations, then place them as according to the following picture. Please pay attention to the orientation where there's an R mark. Connect the fan cable to the Raspberry Pi on a 5-volt and ground pin. Incorrect polarity may cause damage to the device. Okay, so got left, right, and we should be able to just mount this here. Similarly, just mount this here. That's. Uh-oh. Okay, so those are in. Cool. Okay, so that's in. One of them. How do these stick together? Oh, with the long crossbar. Cool. So I think now is a good time to. What time is it? 8:42. Okay. Wow. And the card has been written. And it's 8:42. Neither me or my brother are eating dinner, so I think a lot of the rest of this is going to be what I'm doing now. So I think now is actually a good time to cut the stream. I will be back. I will build this off camera and then show, I guess, what kind of projects I've got working on this thing. So in the meantime, if you want to get a hold of me, you can look down in the bottom right and you see my Instagram, my Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Feel free to contact me, and then my actual portfolio website if you want to see more, or you want to see a hub where you can contact me. In fact, it might be easier to just have this in my contact info from now on. You can find me here. So feel free to send me a message. I will try to get back to you, whoever messages me, and hopefully this is, I would say, helpful. At least it's informative for me. It wasn't just as plug and play as I was hoping it would be, as I remembered my last Raspberry Pi was. So yeah. In the meantime, try to take the stairs, wash your hands, and get commit. Until then, I will see y'all next time. Okay, bye. I need to get better at turning this thing off.